Hello, welcome to this video on trigonometry. We're going to be looking today at labeling a right angled triangle and then choosing the right ratio to work with once you've labeled the triangle. So we're going to be looking at how we get to the labels hypotenuse, adjacent, and opposite. And an assumption that's going to be made is that you have the formulas written down somewhere with you. So sine theta is opposite over hypotenuse, and cos theta is adjacent over hypotenuse, and finally tan theta is opposite over adjacent. If you don't have those in front of you right now while you're watching the video, jot them down, pause the video and jot them down somewhere, as we'll be referring back to those. Okay, let's start with the first example. When you're given an example, and in this example we would be looking to find x, the missing side that's labeled. When you're given an example that has an angle, that angle becomes what I call the angle of interest, which we can short form as theta. That's your given angle. Your labels of opposite and adjacent very much depend on which of these two angles is your angle of interest. Your 90-degree angle is never the angle of interest. It will never be theta. Okay. When we go to label the sides, the hypotenuse is the same as when you did Pythagoras. The hypotenuse is the longest side of the triangle. Excuse my printing on the computer here. It's also opposite to the 90-degree angle. You can abbreviate the hypotenuse just by using the letter H. The other two labels that we need to do are opposite and adjacent. So the opposite side, both opposite and adjacent are position words. Opposite means across from and adjacent means beside. So the opposite side is opposite from the angle of interest. So if you think of this as like a little eyeball, it is staring right across the triangle at the opposite side. Had this angle up here been the given angle, 34 would have been the opposite side. Okay, and the leftover label that we don't have is adjacent, which is the third side. You can abbreviate opposite with O and adjacent with A, just to speed up the labeling process if you like. Okay, and then the next part of this is which of the three trig ratios am I going to use to work on this question? Well, you want to use a trig ratio that has the opposite side in it, because that's the side we're looking for. That's the side they labeled they wanted you to find. You better have that in a formula or you won't be able to find it. And then you look for which other side was given to me. The hypotenuse wasn't given. The length wasn't given. They're not looking for it. So that's of no interest to us here. The adjacent was given. So what I do is I look for opposite and adjacent in the formulas, right? And I find that in tan theta. So I would use tan theta equals opposite over adjacent. And then I would fill in what I know. There's a link below this video to another video that shows you how to calculate the trig ratios once you've got to this point. I would highly recommend, if you'd like to see that process, to scroll down and go to that video when this video is over. We'll continue on with another couple examples. So in this question, here's a given angle. That becomes my angle of interest, or theta. The x would be the hypotenuse, because it is the longest side and it's across from the 90-degree angle. The blank side is my opposite side, because it is opposite the angle of interest. And so the 14 would be the adjacent side, the leftover label. So in this question, I want to find hypotenuse, and they gave me adjacent. So the trig ratio I would use here would be cos theta, which is adjacent over hypotenuse. And again, if you want to see how to plug numbers in and put that in your calculator, hit the link on the video below. And then For the third example, we weren't given one of these two angles, but they've identified that we're looking for theta. If they label it theta, that by default is your angle of interest. So that would make the 55 here the hypotenuse, 26 would be opposite, and this would be adjacent. Now when you're looking for an angle, you're looking for two given sides. That's these two. So I'd use the trig ratio that uses O and H. That's sine theta, which is O over H. And again, check out the video linked to below if you want to see a continuation. Thanks for watching.